Good afternoon, dear colleagues. It's very nice to see so many familiar faces in this room. We're here all four from Terrestrial Service Department, and I will take liberty to present my colleague. There are three divisions in this department: Broadcasting Division, Fixed and Mobile Services Division, and Terrestrial Publication and Registration Division. On my left, Ilham Ghazi. She is the head of Broadcasting Division. She's originally from Morocco. She worked in the International Coordination Department of Morocco regulator, and she joined the ITU in 2005. On my right side, there is a representative of Terrestrial Publication and Registration Department, Senior Engineer Sujiva Pinagoga. She's originally from Sri Lanka, and she joined ITU in 1997. Then on my right side again, it's Carlis Bogens. He's the head of Fixed and Mobile Services Division. Originally, he is from Latvia, and she worked in Latvian administration and joined ITU in 2002. I'm Nikolai Vassiliev, originally from Russia and chief of Terrestrial Services Department. My presentation is about terrestrial services in general. The radio regulations define clear border between space and terrestrial services. And terrestrial services include all radio stations located at ground, sea, in the air, up to 50 kilometers of height. Above this limit, space services start to operate with practical height of around maybe 400 kilometers. Each radio communication terrestrial service has several applications. For example, fixed service can be used for microwave links, mobile backhauling, distribution of television programs or hubs. And it should be noted that radio regulations are mainly describe or define regulations for services, not for applications, with several exceptions for specific applications, big application of applications which need separate regulations, such as IMT or hubs or airlines. What are main regulatory instruments which may be applicable both to terrestrial and space services? These are, first of all, radio regulations, and you had heard a very good presentation in the morning about radio regs. Then regional agreements. Normally, regional agreements, they establish frequency plan for specific band, specific services, and in specific geographical area. A part of the plan, they contain also plan modification procedure, and this procedure allows you to modify the plan, to bring in operation new stations or change the parameters of already recorded stations. And outside of ITU, we have special agreements. They could be between countries, bilateral, multilateral, or within other international organizations. For example, ICAO has its own plan for VHF communications between ground and pilots. Other instruments include rules of procedure, which define or clarify some difficult provisions of radio regulations or complement some technical parts of radio regs, and ITUR recommendations, which are technical standards on various issues like characteristics and arrangements, techniques for compatibility of stations, and some others. For example, recommendation 10M1036 is about channel arrangements of IMT, and it's widely used for all countries in the world. How to share spectrum in compatible way? There are two main approaches: frequency coordination and planning of frequency band. Frequency coordination implies that before station is brought into use, your administration needs to coordinate with neighbor And the advantage of this approach that this coordination is normally based on the real frequency needs, and it results in flexible spectrum usage. Frequency planning implies that spectrum resource is distributed either between countries or between stations of different countries. And the advantage of this approach that it gives or it facilitates the equitable access to the spectrum. Because once administration gets assignment or allotment, frequency assignment or allotment in the plan, this assignment belongs to this country for the whole lifetime of this plan. So it satisfies the long-term needs in frequencies. And as a result, sometimes it's not ideal for efficient spectrum use because frequency can be put in the plan, but never used in the plan in reality. There are some other means of to reach coexistence between radio stations. These are, for example, power limits. And one example is the protection of or compatibility between all terrestrial and all space services in uplink is reached by power limits imposed on terrestrial stations. And these are limits in Article 21 of the radio regulations. There are also channeling arrangements. These are mainly for maritime mobile service, where each channel or group of channels have specific use. Some channels are for example, for voice communications, others for data transmissions, for telegraphy, and some other purposes. As for frequency plans for terrestrial services, there are 3 worldwide frequency plans. All of them are in radio regulations. All of them for high frequency bands, 1 for maritime mobile and 2 for aeronautical services, route and off-route service. There are also 9 regional or sub-regional frequency plans. The majority of them are for broadcasting, sound and television, and the list you can see here with 2 plans which are the most intensively used. They are Geneva 84 for FM sound broadcasting and Geneva 06 for television, digital television and sound broadcasting. There is also seasonal planning of high frequency bands in Article 12 of the radio regulations. And here you have quite interesting combination of a plan and coordination procedure, because it's a plan, but plan which is changed every 6 months. And before these countries coordinate this frequency between themselves. This is because the propagation conditions in HF band are changing for winter and summer period depending on solar activity. There are 2 plans outside ITU which we recognize, ITU recognize and respect, and these are VHF communications in ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, and LF maritime plan in low frequency for maritime radio beacons. This is in International Association of Aids to Navigation and Lighthouse Authorities. The second approach, or the first approach, coordination of terrestrial services, there are 2 places where you can find the coordination procedures. First in radio regs, and the second in regional agreements. In radio regulations, there are only 4 provisions which are related to coordination of, mandatory coordination of terrestrial services. These are 916, 18, this coordination of terrestrial transmitter vis-a-vis receiving of stations, either non-geostationary networks or geostationary networks. 919, coordination against typical broadcasting satellite Earth stations. And 921 is coordination against everything, when this obligation of coordination is indicated in footnote to Article 5 of the radio regulations. Coordination procedures in regional agreements, they are specific to each agreement, and to find them, it's better to go to each agreement in particular. There is also bilateral or multilateral coordination between countries, and this is governed by Article 6 of the radio regulations, and made sometimes with assistance of Radio Communication Bureau. We have many cases of such assistance. One of the important elements of regulations of terrestrial services is recording of frequency in Master International Frequency Register. We call it Master Register or MIFR. It's worldwide database of stations which are placed, already put in operation. And it has several advantages, including rights of international recognition for recorded assignments. It helps to identify sources of interference based on characteristics recorded in the MIFR. Many countries use this data in the MIFR as a basis for coordination, and this represent quite valuable information for sharing studies in preparation of world radio communication conferences. Currently, this master register database contains around 3.2 million of terrestrial assignments, and notification is mandatory in some cases and recommended in other cases, and you will learn about it during workshop of terrestrial services. Just some details about the importance of notification in the master register. All assignments which are recorded there with federal findings obtain the right of international recognition. And this right means that other countries, before assigning their own frequencies, they have to take into account the assignments recorded in the master register. It may be helpful, recording in the MIFR can be helpful for assigning frequencies. For example, to find the available channels for high-frequency communications, and we have many requests for assistance in this respect. Sometimes it's used in coordination, either as the information about system parameters. So coordination is based on the technical characteristics of recorded assignments, or as the basis for objections. Some coordination procedure, they oblige administration not just object, but also to give the basis assignments or stations which are basis for objections. And master register could be served for these purposes. And master register could be used also for preparations to the conference, and you have here some examples of such utilization, including the preparations to the last conference, WC23. Radio regulations and regional agreements require BR to maintain several databases and software for calculations or for accessing these databases. There are two types. Frequency databases, which are master register and plans, and some administrative databases like MARS, this is Maritime Access and Retrieval System, or Global Administrative Data System, etc. Difference is that the first group, it contains data which are required for compatibility analysis to assess interference. It contains characteristic of diagram, power, etc. The second group is databases for administrative usage. The main notice processing system for recording in master register in the plans are terraces, but these databases could be accessed also by different web tools. Administrative databases can be accessed only by web tools, and we more and more put in our software tools on the web. For this purpose, e-terrestrial platform was created recently. It contains many tools. Some of them are common for broadcasting, non-broadcasting services. For example, to retrieve data from master register to notify, to submit notification, to validate notice, and some specific to broadcasting tools, broadcasting services or fixed and mobile services. Also to query some broadcasting plans and consult special section and administrative correspondence. This is in brief overview of regulations for terrestrial services. And I would like just to underline that each element, each database, and each software tool will be further explained at the workshop for terrestrial services. Thank you.